Hey guys, what's going on? It's David here from Scizorxphlosion, coming at you guys with another deck profile, but this time we're going to be doing a little bit different. This is not my build. This is, well, as we all know, the Oceania International Championships just happened in Melbourne, Australia, and this is the deck that got first place. This is a Jirachi Zapdos deck. I thought showcasing one of these champion decks, letting you guys try it out for yourself, might not be a bad idea at all, but as we all know, this Jirachi is pretty good. I just displayed that in my last deck profile, and now the Zapdos is the center stage of this deck along with the Jirachi. But you guys be sure and leave a like down below if you enjoyed this video. Be sure and comment and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and without further ado guys, let's get on to the deck profile. So to start things off, we run 4 copies of Jirachi. Jirachi is that one that has the Stellar Wish ability, and its ability reads: once during your turn, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you can look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose a trainer card you find there, and add it to your hand, but then Jirachi goes to sleep. Which, as we discussed in our last video, is not really a problem as long as you have an escape board attached to it. But there are more switching cards in this deck than just the escape board. We do run several switches, some escape ropes, and also 4 Guzmas. Next up, the main attacker of the deck is 4 copies of Zapdos. Zapdos is pretty awesome as a main attacker, not just as a backup attacker like he was in my Pika-Rom deck, but he has this attack called Thunderous Assault. For a single lightning energy, does 10 damage plus. If this Pokemon was on the bench and became your active this turn, this attack does 70 more damage and is unaffected by weakness. So this attack does 80 more damage if it was switched in this turn, similar to Golisopod GX, where it deals more damage. But yeah, we also have things like Electro Power and Choice Band to buff up these attacks, and also Professor Kukui can come in handy to buff up the damage of that attack as well. To support him, we've got Tapu Koko Prism Star. Tapu Koko is a pretty awesome Pokemon that came out of the Team Up set, and it says it has this ability called Dance of the Ancients, where if it's on your bench, you can send it to the Lost Zone and then choose 2 of your Pokemon, attach 1 lightning energy to each of them from your discard pile. And yeah, it just helps you get energies on board. You can fully charge up 2 Zapdoses in a single turn, or even go for a combo with our next card, which is 1 copy of Tapu Koko GX. Tapu Koko GX is really good for taking out really big Pokemon that Zapdos sometimes has a problem going against, but honestly, he hasn't really displayed any problems taking out Pokemon. But this is like for that big one-hit knockout on like a Pika-Rom, or a something like a Celebi Venusaur, or something of that nature that has a lot of HP and is worth a lot of prizes. You have the ability Arrow Trail that says whenever you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you can absorb as many other lightning energies on your other Pokemon as you like onto Tapu Koko, then make it your active Pokemon. You got Sky High Claws for 130 damage for Lightning, Colorless. And then you've also got Tapu Thunder GX, which is the main reason we play this card. For 2 Lightnings and a Colorless energy, does 50 damage times the amount of energies your opponent has in play. So yes, Tapu Koko can take some big knockouts. If they have 5 or 6 energies on board, you're going to be hitting for 250 or 300 damage, or so enough to knock out anything in the game. Excluding those that have a buff padding attached, but we haven't been seeing a whole lot of those lately. 1 copy of Oranguru. Oranguru has that Instructability, can net you more cards. It says once per turn before you attack, you may draw till you have 3 cards in your hand. So if you clear your hand down a lot and you find yourself needing some more cards, Instruct is there to help you out. Not a bad attacker, but really Oranguru is more of a bench sitter, while Zapdos is our big attacker. And for the last Pokemon, guys, 1 copy of Absol. Absol has this ability called Dark Ambition, and it says if your opponent's active Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, its retreat cost is colorless more. This is mainly a tech for other Jirachi decks. It increases the retreat cost of Jirachi, therefore nullifying its free retreat with Escape Board. So they're still going to have an energy on it to retreat it, which can be a little bit hazardous for your opponent. So if you're not taking against Jirachi in your decks, you probably should, because Jirachi is running around everywhere in the format. A simple Absol, a 1 of Absol, or a 2 of Absol, or even a Alolan Muck would be great, because Alolan Muck can just shut down the abilities of all basic Pokemon. So Alolan Muck is a little bit different for us just because we do have the Tapu Koko and the Jirachi and the Koko GX that we all want to use their abilities. Oh, and the Oranguru too. So Absol is probably the better tech. But as for the Pokemon, guys, that is it. We're going to go on to the supporters here. 4 copies of Lily. A great supporter for this deck, especially on the first turn. You want to get as many cards into your hand as possible. It lets you draw till you have 6 cards in your hand, or on your first turn, draw till you have 8. Next up, 4 copies of Guzma. Guzma is really great in this deck because we need to switch our Pokemon around. Zapdos has an attack that says it has to come into the active in order for it to gain the 70 extra damage. So Guzma is there to help us get our Zapdoses into the active spot and deal that additional damage to our opponent's Pokemon. 3 copies of Cynthia. Cynthia can be really great just because we can shuffle back things in our hand to put them back into the deck and draw a fresh new hand of 6. It's really good, I found, because sometimes you find yourself starving for a lightning energy. And you might want to Cynthia back your hand that's full of items and supporters and try to get yourself a lightning energy instead. We run 3 copies of Professor Kukui. It lets you draw 2 cards, and then for the rest of the turn, your attacks from your active Pokemon do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So you could deny a little extra damage, make Zapdos hit for 100 as long as he switched in this turn. And also net us a couple extra cards, help us get some key knockouts sometimes. Alright guys, that's it for the supporters. On to the item cards. We've got 4 copies of Nest Ball. This is the standard search for this deck because there's not a whole lot of things you want to discard with Ultra Ball. So we do play Ultra Ball, but we only play 1 copy in here. So Nest Ball is there to get those basics down, like your Jirachis and your Zapdoses, your Tapu Kokos. The only thing I really won't work for is Tapu Koko Prisms or Tapu Koko GX because Arrow Trail has to activate from the hand in order to take its effect of sucking up the lightning energies. 4 copies of Electro Power to boost our damage. It's a lightning deck, so why wouldn't we play Electro Power? It lets your lightning Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage for the rest of the turn. Pretty awesome with Zapdos if you use Kukui. Electro Power, you're hitting for 130. And then, I mean, you can stack those so you can play all 4 of them in one turn if you wanted to. I don't suggest that you do. But yeah, Electro Power is a very great card. Very, very great card, and it helps make lightning types what they are right now in the meta. We've got 3 copies of Escape Rope, which lets each player switch their Pokemon. They get to choose, but they have to choose first. So your opponent switches their Pokemon, then you get to switch your Pokemon. So pretty useful for getting that Zapdos into the active spot and just taking little knockouts. They'll probably send out something little to try and avoid you getting something really big like maybe a Zoroark. But if you can take out a Zorua with Escape Rope, that's pretty awesome. 3 copies of Switch. Switch, it's another switching card in this deck. We do play a lot of switching cards. All Switch does is let you switch your active with one of your benched Pokemon. We got 2 copies of Choice Band. Choice Band is awesome for dealing a little extra damage to those GX Pokemon. And the damage adds up. It may not seem like Zapdos hits for a lot of damage. 80 may seem a little insignificant to some, but tap in a Choice Band or an Electro Power or 2, you're already hitting 140 damage with just a Choice Band and Electro Power. So, I mean, you can take out some really big Pokemon in just a couple turns. While they're knocking you out in one shot, they're taking 1 prize, but you may be taking 2 or 3 prizes at a time. We've got 3 copies of a Skateboard. For those Jirachis, they also work for Absol since he has a single retreat cost. And if we ever start Tapu Koko Prism Star, the same thing goes for him. It can lower down, like a Tapu Koko GX's GX, his retreat cost is 2. So if we wanted to get it down to 1, we could use the Skateboard, but generally we'll save them for the Jirachis. 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher. Our Pokemon tend to go down pretty quickly since they are low HP, non-GX Pokemon. So we need a couple copies of Rescue Stretcher in order to get those back into the deck and get our Pokemon coming out as often as possible. We've got 1 copy of Energy Lotto just to get that little extra search. As I said before, sometimes you find yourself starving for energy. There are only 8 copies in this list, but hey, it won the International Championship, so who am I to argue with results? We got 1 copy of Ultra Ball. Standard search for most decks, but this one is mainly here just to get your Tapu Koko GX out, I assume. I did not build this deck as I stated before. This is the champions list. On to our stadiums. We play 2 copies of Shrine of Punishment, which lets you put 1 damage counter in between turns on each Pokemon EX and GX. Great for this deck. We don't play any EXs and GXs ourselves except for Tapu Koko GX, but he only comes down in the end game to finish off those Pokemon that are huge that we need to take out to get a couple prizes on. Oh, 1 copy of Thunder Mountain. Lightning deck needs to play Thunder Mountain. And this is the age of stadiums, guys, so if you don't have a counter stadium in your deck, you might want to, because nearly every deck's going to be playing a stadium. And those Prism Star stadiums are pretty annoying, especially Wondrous Labyrinth. I don't like Wondrous Labyrinth. But anyway, if you need to have a counter stadium in most decks, really, because things like Wondrous Labyrinth, which says that all non-fairy type Pokemon's attacks cost a colorless energy more, it can be really bad for your deck. Thunder Mountain's just really great because it makes your Zapdos able to attack for free. It makes your Tapu Koko GX be able to suck up only 2 energies to do his attack. So yeah, it can be really helpful. And to end off the deck, guys, we play 8 copies of basic Lightning Energy. This is the list that Isiah Williams won with at the Oceania International Championships in Australia. And it's a really great deck. I've tried it out myself, built it, I didn't proxy it. I built it, and then I did some tests with it, and it's really consistent. Jirachi gives that great consistency. Zapdos is a great attacker, and though he may not seem as strong as he looks, he really is. But I encourage you guys to give this deck a shot and come up with your own list to try to make Zapdos a little bit better. But you guys be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And this is David from Scizorxphlosion, and we'll catch you guys all next time.